In the quiet mists of dawn, when the dense green forests of the Yucatan are still heavy with dew, a Maya village begins to stir. The air is warm but soft, laced with the earthy scent of wet leaves, wood smoke, and distant rain. Somewhere in the canopy, a parrot calls lazily, its cry echoing between the tall ceiba trees. Beneath them, a thin thread of smoke curls upward from a thatched roof hut, as the first fire of the morning is coaxed to life. The houses, simple yet skillfully built, form small clusters around open courtyards. Their walls are made of mud plaster pressed over wooden frames, and their roofs are woven from palm fronds, layered thick to keep out rain and the sharp heat of the midday sun. In the dim interiors, where the light filters through narrow doorways, the air smells faintly of clay maize and the lingering ash of last night's embers. It is early, perhaps the hour when the horizon glows a pale silver, and the jungle still hums in half-darkness. The people of the village begin their day slowly. A mother rises first, brushing bits of straw from her woven mat. She moves quietly so as not to wake the children, still curled beneath thin cotton cloths. Her hair is long and dark, bound carefully with a strip of woven fabric. She steps barefoot onto the cool earthen floor, the faint crunch of soil beneath her feet marking the day's first sound of labor. Outside, the world is coming alive. The cicadas hum. A rooster calls somewhere near the edge of the fields. A dog shakes itself awake and trots toward the path leading into the trees. The mother kneels beside a low hearth, 3 stones arranged in a circle, and begins to rebuild the fire from the coals left smoldering overnight. As she blows softly, patient and practiced, a faint orange glow flickers to life. Nearby, her husband steps from their hut, stretching in the cool, heavy air. His body is lean and hardened from years beneath the sun. Around his waist, he wears a strip of woven cloth, a simple loin covering, and his skin bears the faint gleam of river water and sweat from the day before. He looks toward the horizon, where the sky is turning from gray to gold. The jungle smells of wet earth, and somewhere in the distance, monkeys chatter high among the branches. As the sun slowly rises, light spills through the palm leaves, dappling the ground in soft patterns. The family begins their morning meal, a humble one, made from maize, beans, and bits of ground cacao. The woman kneels beside a smooth stone slab, known as a metate, and begins to grind dried kernels of corn with a rhythmic, soothing motion. The sound, a gentle, steady scrape, joins the morning chorus of birds and insects. Children emerge sleepily from their mats, rubbing their eyes. They sit close to the hearth, watching the soft steam rise from the cooking pot. Their small hands reach for tortillas, thin and warm, cooked over a flat stone, which they dip into a bowl of mashed beans. The eldest helps the mother by fetching water from a clay jar, its cool surface beaded with moisture. Life in the village begins with these small acts, repeated every day, through generations. There is comfort in their simplicity. The tasks are familiar, the rhythm slow and unhurried. Beyond the cluster of homes, the fields stretch out in patches of cultivated green. The men prepare to leave for the milpa, the cornfields, carrying tools made from wood and stone. Their journey will take them through narrow paths, lined with wild orchids and thick vines, through groves of cacao trees, whose pods hang heavy and fragrant. The air hums with insects, and shafts of sunlight pierce the forest canopy like spears of gold. Meanwhile, the women remain in the village, attending to the children and the hearths. Some spin cotton fibers into thread, their hands working with quiet precision. Others weave on backstrap looms, creating cloths patterned with careful symmetry, reds, browns, and yellows drawn from plants and minerals. Each design carries meaning, symbols that speak of family, gods, and the cycles of rain and harvest. As the morning unfolds, voices fill the air, gentle laughter, the clatter of pots, the call of someone leading a mule along the path. The smell of roasted maize drifts between the houses. Chickens scratch in the dust, and dogs doze in patches of sunlight. A group of young boys, barefoot and curious, chase each other through the trees, their shouts softened by the thick air. They carry small wooden toys, carved animals, tiny figures, and their laughter echoes faintly against the earthen walls. By mid-morning, the sun has risen high, and its warmth settles over the village like a heavy blanket. The forest hum deepens. Shadows shorten. The villagers work more slowly now, conserving energy for the long hours ahead. The heat presses down, and a shimmering haze dances over the distant fields. Somewhere near the village edge, an old man sits beneath the shade of a ceiba tree. His skin is weathered and lined from years of labor and sun, his hair tied in a thin braid. He chews a bit of sweet sap from a tree branch, gazing out toward the horizon. Around him, the world is alive, the buzz of bees, the flutter of birds, the soft rustle of wind in the leaves. He remembers, perhaps, how things were when he was young. Though for the Maya, time moves not in straight lines, but in circles. Days repeat, seasons return, and life flows endlessly between birth and death, work and rest, sunrise and sunset. The villagers live close to the earth, to its gifts and its demands. Their world is both beautiful and brutal, a place of abundance and hardship intertwined. Every meal, every tool, every woven cloth comes from hours of patient labor. The soil must be cut, the fire tended, the water carried, the food prepared. And yet, there is peace in the rhythm. The slow unfolding of each day feels timeless, unchanging, anchored in tradition. Meanwhile, deeper in the forest, the men reach the fields. They pause to sharpen their tools on flat stones, then begin to clear the undergrowth. The sound of wood striking wood echoes faintly, mingling with the calls of birds. Sweat beads on their skin, mosquitoes hum near their ears. Still, they work steadily, their movements practiced and sure. Back in the village, the women gather near a small open space, where the clay pots are drying in the sun. They inspect them carefully, smooth surfaces, rounded edges. A few cracks will need mending, but most are good. One woman hums softly as she works, her voice low and soothing, blending with the sounds of the day. Nearby, a young girl tends to a small patch of herbs, medicinal plants used for healing fevers, wounds, and bites. The scent of crushed leaves fills the warm air. The Maya people knew their land intimately. Every sound, every plant, every change in the wind. The forest was not wilderness to them but home, a living, breathing world of spirits, ancestors and gods. Even in their quietest moments, they felt the pulse of something vast and eternal, beneath the surface of daily life. As the morning drifts slowly toward noon, the village seems to shimmer in the heat. Chickens seek shade beneath the huts. Children nap on mats near open doorways. Smoke from cooking fires rises in thin spirals toward the sky, carrying with it the scent of roasted maize and cacao. Time itself seems to move differently here, not rushing forward, but unfolding softly, like the petals of a flower opening to the sun. And so, the first half of the day passes in this unhurried rhythm, quiet, patient, full of small details that shape the essence of Maya life. By midday, the warmth of the sun settles fully over the village. The morning haze has lifted, and the air shimmers faintly above the packed earth of the courtyard. It is a still and drowsy hour, when even the birds quiet down, and the forest hum turns low and steady, like the slow breathing of the land itself. The villagers have been working for hours already, their tasks unfolding with calm familiarity. Though life here is demanding, there is a steady grace in the way each person moves, not rushed, not restless, but guided by an inner rhythm as old as the stones of their temples. The men remain at work in the fields. Bent low over the soil, they cut through the brush with wooden blades edged in sharp stone. Each swing is deliberate, each pause measured. Sweat glistens along their backs as they clear space for the young maize to grow. The crops, maize, beans, squash, are the foundation of life here, the essence of survival. The men work quietly, speaking little, their communication carried more by gesture and habit than by words. A few of them pause now and then, straightening their backs to look toward the horizon, toward the faint line of blue hills, and the clouds gathering above them. The Maya are watchful of the weather, attuned to signs that others might overlook. A change in the wind, a sudden silence among the birds. These things matter deeply. The rains are both gift and danger, capable of bringing life or washing it away. Meanwhile, in the village, the women tend to their own steady labor. Some sit outside beneath the shade of woven awnings, weaving cloth on backstrap looms. Their bodies are still, but their hands move with gentle precision, lifting, twisting, pressing. The threads form intricate patterns, each one telling a quiet story. Bright reds and deep yellows catch the sunlight. Every thread is dyed by hand, using roots, berries, and crushed insects gathered from the forest. Nearby, others grind maize on stone slabs. The rhythmic sound of grinding fills the air, slow, even, and almost musical. It is a sound that belongs to every Maya village, repeated countless times each day, generation after generation. With each stroke of the stone, the dry kernels become meal, soft and warm to the touch. The women shape it into thin circles, and lay them on flat stones over open fires. The scent of toasting maize drifts gently through the village, earthy, familiar and comforting. Children wander about quietly, their play simple and slow. Some roll small clay balls across the ground. Others follow a chicken through the yard, or gather fallen fruit from the edge of the path. An older boy carries water in a gourd, careful not to spill it as he walks from the well. His feet kick up fine dust that shimmers in the light. At the far end of the village, a potter works beside her kiln. The fire burns low, its embers glowing orange beneath the clay structure. She turns a pot gently in her hands, examining its surface. The clay is smooth, marked with faint lines where her fingers shaped it while still wet. Soon it will be ready, strong enough to hold grain, water, or stew. Around her, other vessels cool in the shade, their rounded forms simple yet beautiful. A dog lies nearby, ears flicking occasionally at the sound of buzzing flies. It dozes, half in the sunlight, half in shadow. Life here does not rush. Even the animals seem to move at the same slow rhythm as the people. As the day unfolds, the heat grows heavier. A shimmer hangs above the roofs, and the forest hum deepens to a single continuous tone. The villagers take short rests when they can, sitting in the shade, sipping from gourds filled with cool water, wiping their brows with strips of cloth. No one complains, they are used to the labor. It is the same labor that sustained their ancestors for centuries, tying them to the land and to one another. Farther away, a group of women gathers near a small open space to wash clothes in a stream. They kneel by the water, scrubbing fabric against smooth stones. The sound of splashing mixes with soft laughter. Their voices are low and musical, blending with the burble of the water. Now and then, they pause to watch a dragonfly hover above the surface, its wings flashing silver in the sun. They speak of simple things. The weather, a neighbor's newborn, the next planting. Their words rise and fall with the rhythm of the washing. Around them, the forest seems to listen quietly. The smell of damp leaves and wet stone fills the air. Back in the fields, the men rest beneath the shade of tall trees. They share food wrapped in leaves, small tortillas, roasted beans, and bits of dried fruit. The meal is modest but filling. They eat in silence for a while, the only sounds the crunch of maize and the faint hum of insects. One man leans back against a tree trunk, eyes half closed. For a moment, the world is still. After the meal, work resumes. The sun begins its slow descent, casting long shadows over the land. The air remains heavy, but there is a faint breeze now. A soft stirring that rustles the leaves. The men gather bundles of wood, tie them with fiber ropes, and prepare to carry them home. Their backs bear the marks of years of this work, yet their movements remain steady and graceful. Meanwhile, in the village, the afternoon brings its own quiet rhythm. The women finish their weaving, and hang the new cloths over wooden poles to dry. The bright patterns sway gently in the breeze. Reds, yellows and browns glowing in the warm light. Children return from their games, their faces flushed, their feet dusty. The mothers call them softly, handing them bits of fruit or tortillas still warm from the fire. In the distance, someone begins to play a flute. A simple tune, slow and haunting. The sound drifts through the air, carried by the wind. It mingles with the rustle of leaves and the crackle of fires. Music is not rare here. It is part of life, woven into its simplest moments. It marks celebrations, but it also fills the quiet hours between work and rest. As the afternoon wears on, a few clouds gather on the horizon. They darken slightly, hinting at rain. The Maya depend on the rains but respect them as something powerful, unpredictable, divine. The women glance toward the sky, judging the signs. If the rain comes, they will cover the looms and bring the drying cloths inside. A young boy stands at the edge of the clearing, watching the clouds drift slowly overhead. He holds a stick in his hand, tracing lines in the dirt. Perhaps he imagines shapes among the clouds. Jaguars, birds, the faces of gods. In his quiet play, the echoes of an ancient belief remain alive, that the world is full of spirits watching over every tree, every stream, every flicker of fire. The day moves gently toward its end. The heat softens. The shadows grow longer, stretching across the packed earth. A coolness begins to rise from the forest floor. Birds call again, their evening songs clear and sweet after the long silence of midday. One by one, the men return from the fields, their steps slow but steady. They carry bundles of firewood, tools, and baskets of young maize. Their arrival fills the village with quiet movement. Greetings exchanged, children running to meet their fathers, dogs barking softly in recognition. The air carries the smell of sweat, soil, and wood smoke, the sense of honest labor. Soon, the fires are lit again. Thin threads of smoke curl into the deepening sky. The women prepare the evening meal, stirring pots of beans and maize, grinding cacao seeds for a warm drink. The sound of grinding and stirring, the flicker of flames, and the soft chatter of voices create a comforting rhythm. The music of home, unchanged for centuries. For the Maya, survival was never easy. The land demanded much, endless labor, constant vigilance. Yet within that struggle was a deep harmony, a sense that every act, no matter how small, was part of a greater pattern. The balance between people, earth, and gods. As the light fades, the villagers pause to watch the sky. The clouds glow with soft orange and pink. The day's work is done. There is weariness, yes, but also peace, the quiet satisfaction of another day lived. Another cycle complete. In the distance, thunder murmurs softly. A low, rolling sound that seems to come from the heart of the jungle itself. The first drops of rain begin to fall, tapping gently against the thatched roofs, darkening the earth below. The villagers do not hurry. They let the rain fall where it will, knowing it nourishes the soil, cools the air, and marks the eternal rhythm of life. As the afternoon rain fades to a mist, the village returns to stillness. Drops cling to the edges of palm leaves, glittering in the dim light. The air is cool now, thick with the scent of wet earth and smoke. A thin wisp rises from each hearth as the women tend to their cooking, stirring slowly. Their movements calm and practiced. The faint crackle of the fires mingles with the dripping of water from the roofs. In the quiet after the rain, every sound seems to carry farther. The distant call of a bird, the soft thud of a pestle in a mortar, the faint laughter of children somewhere near the stream. Life continues in small, measured motions. The world does not rush here, it unfolds patiently, like the steady beat of a drum beneath the forest canopy. The houses of the village stand in gentle disorder, their thatched roofs forming uneven lines against the trees. Each one is built by hand, using local materials gathered from the land. The trunks of saplings for walls, dried palm leaves for the roof, a clay for sealing cracks against wind and insects. Inside, the air is dim and cool. The walls bear the marks of fingers pressed into the clay. The floors are smooth from years of walking barefoot. In one corner of a home, a small altar rests, a simple arrangement of clay figures and bowls, representing ancestors and spirits. A faint scent of copal incense lingers, its smoke long since faded into the rafters. The Maya world was one where the divine and the everyday were intertwined. Each act of work, each breath of wind, each grain of corn was seen as sacred. To grind maize was not just to make food. It was to take part in the balance of the cosmos, the endless exchange between human hands and the living earth. Outside, the sounds of animals drift through the village. Chickens cluck softly in the yard, pecking at damp soil. A pig roots near a pile of discarded husks. A thin dog trots across the clearing, pauses, and shakes the rain from its fur. From the trees comes the cry of a toucan, sharp and echoing, followed by the soft flutter of its wings. The jungle is alive, full of sounds that blend into one another: insects buzzing, frogs croaking, leaves whispering in the wind. For the people who live here, these sounds are not noise but language, familiar and meaningful. They can tell the time of day by the calls of birds, sense coming weather by the hum of insects, and know the approach of strangers by how the dogs bark or fall silent. The world speaks constantly, one only needs to listen. Meanwhile, deeper in the forest, a small group of hunters moves quietly through the undergrowth. Their footsteps are nearly soundless. They carry simple tools. Spears tipped with obsidian and nets woven from plant fiber. Hunting is not their main source of food, it is an occasional task, one that requires patience and respect. When they take an animal, they thank the forest for its gift. Tonight, though, the hunt is more a ritual of connection. An active presence within the living world. Back in the village, the older men gather beneath a large ceiba tree at the center of the square. The ceiba, tall and ancient, rises far above the other trees, its roots thick and winding, its trunk pale and smooth. To the Maya it is sacred, the axis of the world, linking the heavens above and the underworld below. Beneath its branches, the men sit in quiet conversation. Their voices are low, their words slow. They speak of the rains, the crops, and the passing of time. Occasionally, one of them laughs softly, the sound deep and gentle, carried on the cool breeze. A few children play nearby, tracing patterns in the damp earth with sticks. They draw circles and spirals, copying the designs they have seen carved into stones. Ancient symbols whose meanings they do not yet know, but somehow feel. The adults watch them with quiet fondness. Childhood in the village is simple, full of small discoveries, the sound of frogs after the rain, the warmth of the sun on wet skin, the taste of fruit picked straight from a tree. The village itself seems to breathe. The air moves slowly, carrying the mingled scents of clay, smoke, and rain-soaked leaves. The light, filtered through the canopy, falls in shifting patterns, gold, green, and shadow. The landscape is not still, but alive in quiet ways, vines curling, insects building, water flowing unseen beneath the soil. In the distance, faint sounds rise from the nearby temple site. The low thud of a stone being shaped, the scrape of tools against limestone. Though this is not a grand city, the people still maintain a small ceremonial structure. A stepped platform of stone, used for offerings and community gatherings. The work of tending it continues year-round, though slowly, always with patience. The Maya believe that neglecting such places risks imbalance, that the world itself might grow restless, if the sacred spaces fall silent. As the day leans toward evening, the light grows softer. Shadows stretch long across the ground. The wet earth cools, and the smell of the jungle deepens. Women carry pots of water from the stream, balancing them with practiced ease on their heads. The vessels glisten in the fading sun, droplets of water catching the light as they walk. A quiet song drifts through the village, a melody hummed by one of the older women as she tends her fire. The tune is simple and ancient, it passed down from mother to daughter. Its notes rise and fall like the motion of wind through leaves. The song speaks of rain and sun, of corn and life, of the endless turning of the world. The younger women hum along as they prepare the evening meal. The rhythm of their work becomes part of the music. The grinding of maize, the stir of a spoon, the crackle of burning wood. Soon, the village fills with the faint glow of firelight. The golden light flickers against the walls, casting gentle shadows that dance across the packed earth. Children sit together, watching the flames. The men return from their talk beneath the ceiba, and help to gather wood for the night. The air hums softly with insects, the forest beyond the village growing dark. Above the treetops, the sky begins to shift from gold to deep blue. Stars emerge slowly, one by one, faint at first, then bright and steady. The Maya were watchers of the heavens, not for entertainment, but for understanding. They read the movements of stars as messages, signs woven into time itself. The appearance of Venus, the path of the moon, the bright return of constellations, all mark the rhythm of planting, harvest, and ceremony. Though tonight is quiet, one old man sits outside his hut, gazing upward. His eyes trace familiar patterns in the sky. The turtle, the serpent, the jaguar. He murmurs softly, naming each one as though greeting old friends. The stars are his calendar, his clock, his storybook. Meanwhile, near the temple site, a faint drumbeat begins. It is not loud. just a steady pulse that echoes softly through the trees. The villagers do not stop their work to listen, but they hear it. It is part of the evening now, as natural as the wind or the cry of a bird. The drum bit is slow and rhythmic, marking time as the light fades. A sound that seems to come not only from human hands, but from the heartbeat of the land itself. The jungle joins in with its own music. Crickets chirp in long even tones. Frogs begin their chorus near the stream. The rustle of leaves carries the sound of small creatures moving in the dark. Together, these sounds form a kind of lullaby for the world. A gentle, eternal murmur that rises each night and fades with the dawn. Back in the village, a young woman tends to her clay pots, now cooled and ready. She runs her fingers over their surfaces, feeling for cracks or rough spots. The clay feels smooth, cool, and solid, shaped by her hands, hardened by fire made to last. She sets them carefully aside, lined in neat rows. For her, this quiet work is its own kind of prayer, not spoken, but felt. Elsewhere, the families begin to eat. They sit in small circles around the hearths, sharing from shared bowls. The meal is modest: maize tortillas, beans, bits of fruit, but satisfying. Conversation is light, full of small observations and soft laughter. A child speaks with excitement about a bright, colored bird he saw in the forest. His father smiles, nodding as he chews slowly. The rhythm of eating, speaking, and silence blends into the gentle soundtrack of the evening. As the final light fades, the village takes on a different kind of beauty. One made of sound and shadow rather than color. The glow from the fires softens every edge. The smoke curls lazily upward into the dark. The ceiba tree stands tall and still at the center, its great branches silhouetted against the starlit sky. The sounds of the Maya world, human and natural, near and far, blend into one long, tranquil melody. It is the sound of endurance, of life continuing in quiet balance with the land. The Maya people have lived this way for generations, their routines changing little with the passage of time. Every action, every sound, every breath feels part of something vast and ancient. And as the night deepens, that vastness seems to draw closer. Not frightening or strange, but comforting, like a familiar presence that watches over them all. Evening settles slowly over the Maya village, not in a rush but in a gradual hush, as though the forest itself exhales after a long, sun-drenched day. The sounds of work fade one by one, replaced by gentler noises. The murmur of quiet conversation, the rustle of leaves in the breeze, the occasional crackle of firewood shifting in the hearth. The air is cool now, scented with rain and wood smoke. A faint mist rises from the ground, curling between the huts. The thatched roofs gleam, with the last traces of moisture from the afternoon shower, catching the dim glow of firelight that spills softly from open doorways. Around the central clearing, families gather for the evening meal. Each fire burns with a steady orange light, its smoke rising into the darkening air. The flames dance slowly, their glow casting long shadows that move gently across the walls. The village seems to pulse with quiet warmth, small islands of light, surrounded by the vast darkness of the forest. The meal itself is simple but deeply satisfying. Bowls of beans simmer in thick clay pots, tortillas warm on flat stones. Someone stirs a pot of atoll, a drink made from maize and water, flavored lightly with cacao and honey. The smell is earthy and comforting. Children sit cross-legged beside the fires, waiting patiently as the food is served. Their faces glow softly in the light, eyes heavy with the pleasant fatigue of a long day. The adults speak in low tones. They do not rush their words. Each sentence seems to float in the air for a while, before the next one begins. Their talk is not of grand events but of small things. The shape of the clouds, the yield of a field, the sound of frogs after the rain. These are the matters that fill their lives and give them meaning. One woman hums a tune as she serves food, her voice soft and steady. The melody is old, one her mother sang before her, and her mother before that. It has no words, only gentle rises and falls that mirror the rhythm of life here: planting, harvesting, weaving, resting. The sound wraps around the group like a warm blanket, a lullaby for the living. As they eat, a gentle breeze drifts through the village, carrying with it the distant scent of blooming night flowers. Somewhere in the forest, an owl calls, its cry low and measured. The children pause to listen, their eyes wide in the flickering firelight. The elders smile faintly, for they know the sound. They have heard it all their lives. It is simply part of the night, a voice among countless others that fill the darkness. When the meal is finished, the bowls are rinsed and set aside. The fires burn lower, the wood crackling softly. The villagers sit together for a while longer, sharing silence as easily as conversation. In this world, silence is not emptiness, it is presence. The pauses between words are full of listening, of being together in the same quiet space. In one corner of the clearing, an old man begins to speak. His voice is rough but steady, shaped by age and smoke. The children draw closer, leaning against their mothers and fathers. They know what is coming. A story, old and slow, told not for excitement but for remembrance. He begins not with drama but with calm. Long ago, before our grandfathers' grandfathers were born. His words flow like water, describing gods who walked the earth, animals who spoke, and people made from maize dough, the sacred material of life. His story does not rise or fall sharply, it drifts like smoke, winding through memory and myth. The children listen with half-lidded eyes, their minds floating between the real and the imagined. The adults listen too, their faces lit by the glow of the fire. They have heard these stories many times, yet they never tire of them. The tales remind them that they belong to the earth, to each other, to an unbroken chain of ancestors stretching back through centuries. Meanwhile, at the edge of the clearing, a woman kneels beside a small altar. She places a few grains of maize in a clay bowl, along with a bit of honey and a wisp of burning copal resin. The smoke rises in delicate spirals, its scent sweet and resinous. It is a simple offering, a gesture of gratitude for the day's work, for the food, for the safety of her family. Such small rituals mark the rhythm of Maya life. They are not grand ceremonies, but quiet acknowledgments of balance between work and rest, life and death, humans and the unseen forces that surround them. The Maya did not separate the sacred from the ordinary, they found it in every act, from grinding corn to lighting a fire. As the night deepens, the stories fade into the hum of insects and the crackle of embers. The old man's voice grows softer, and his words trail off into silence. For a moment, no one speaks. The fire pops, sending a brief shower of sparks into the air. The children have begun to drift into sleep, their heads resting on folded arms. Slowly, families begin to rise and return to their homes. The huts glow faintly from within, the fires banked low to last through the night. The air is cool and thick with the smell of damp earth and smoke. The forest hums gently all around, a sound not of loneliness, but of vastness. Inside the huts, the people spread woven mats across the floor. Some wrap themselves in light cotton cloths, others lie uncovered, letting the air move across their skin. The sounds of the village soften. A cough here, a sigh there, the quiet shuffle of someone turning over in sleep. Outside, the moon rises above the canopy. Its light filters through the branches, silvering the leaves and casting faint shadows on the ground. The ceiba tree, tall and still, stands like a guardian at the center of the clearing. Its trunk glows faintly in the moonlight, its roots sprawling deep into the earth. For the Maya, the night sky is not merely beautiful, it is alive with meaning. Each star is a marker, a memory, a pulse of time. The constellations tell stories of gods and heroes, but they also serve as guides, reminding the people when to plant, when to harvest, when to rest. Somewhere in the darkness, a mother hums softly to her baby, rocking him gently in her arms. Her voice blends with the chorus of night insects, becoming part of the rhythm of the world. The child's breathing slows. The mother's eyes close halfway. In another hut, a young man sits awake beside the dying fire, staring into the embers. He thinks of tomorrow, the work to be done, the paths to walk, the endless turning of days. Yet there is no anxiety in his thoughts. The future feels as certain as the sunrise, as steady as the stars overhead. He lies down at last, his body heavy with the pleasant fatigue of labor. The last sound he hears before sleep is the faint, continuous murmur of the jungle, endless, eternal, soothing. The Maya world, for all its hardship, holds a deep serenity in moments like these. The brutality of life, the toil, the hunger, the constant demand of survival, is softened by the beauty of stillness, by the unspoken bond between people and land. And so the night deepens. The fires fade. The stars burn bright and cold above the trees. The ceiba stands silent. The world sleeps, wrapped in the soft, dark breath of the forest. The night has now deepened fully over the Maya village. The last streaks of twilight have long since melted into the black sky, leaving only the faint shimmer of countless stars. The moon, pale and watchful, aglows gently above the canopy, its light filtering through the leaves like soft silver threads. The air is cooler now, touched by the moisture of the forest. Every breath carries the scent of wet earth, smoke, and the faint sweetness of flowers that bloom only after dark. The sounds of the world have changed. The chatter of daytime birds, replaced by the steady hum of insects, the distant croak of frogs, and the rhythmic, almost hypnotic rustle of branches swaying in the breeze. The village lies quiet, still but alive. Here and there, small points of orange light flicker. The last of the hearth fires, burning low. The people have withdrawn into their huts, leaving the open clearing empty except for a few dogs that wander lazily, circling before lying down to sleep near the warm ashes. Inside each hut, the scene is simple and serene. The woven mats are spread across the packed earthen floor. Families lie close together, wrapped lightly in thin cotton cloths. The air moves softly through the thatched roofs, whispering through the dry palm leaves with a sound like distant rain. The walls breathe warmth. The glow from the fading coals flickers across them, painting slow, shifting patterns that seem to move in time with the breath of those asleep. A mother curls around her youngest child, the faint sound of her soft breathing blending with his. A father rests nearby, his hand still streaked faintly with the dust of the day's work, his face calm in the dim light. Beyond the huts, the forest stretches out in all directions, endless, shadowed, and full of quiet life. The night creatures move unseen, an armadillo rustling through leaves, a bird shifting on its branch, a jaguar padding silently through the dark undergrowth. These sounds are not frightening, they are simply the music of the night, the same symphony that has played for countless generations. The ceiba tree stands at the center of the village, tall and unmoving. To the Maya, it is the world tree. Its roots reaching deep into the underworld. Its trunk bridging the world of the living. Its crown touching the heavens. Under its branches, the air feels different, cooler, deeper, filled with the hush of reverence. The moonlight gathers there, soft and milky, casting a faint glow that seems almost sacred. Now and then, a flicker of firelight escapes from a hut door, as someone rises quietly to tend the coals. They crouch low, stirring the ashes, adding a small piece of wood, to keep the fire alive through the long hours. The orange light flares for a moment, then fades again into the deep, rhythmic darkness. Somewhere, the faint sound of a flute drifts through the trees. A single, low note, played not for performance but for peace. It might be a young man sitting alone near the edge of the clearing, or an elder who cannot sleep, and finds comfort in the quiet tones. The melody carries softly through the night, rising and falling like breath. It echoes against the trees, then dissolves, leaving only silence. Above the forest, the stars seem impossibly bright. To the Maya, they are not distant or abstract, they are living points of meaning, the eyes of ancestors, the footprints of gods. The constellations trace stories across the heavens, the corn god's path, the hero twin's journey, the cycles of creation and renewal. Even in sleep, these stories linger, woven into dreams and memory. In one hut, an elder dreams of rain, not a storm, but a steady, gentle fall that nourishes the earth. In another, a young woman dreams of her loom, of threads turning into patterns that tell stories of her people. Somewhere nearby, a child dreams of climbing the ceiba tree, higher and higher, until he can touch the stars. The night moves on in slow, invisible waves. Hours pass like breath. The forest hums, the stars wheel overhead, and the earth rests beneath their quiet watch. Time feels softer here, less like a river and more like a circle. Always returning, always the same, always calm. And then, very slowly, the first hint of dawn begins to touch the edge of the sky. Not bright, not sudden. just a faint lifting of darkness in the east. The stars begin to fade, one by one, as if bowing out after their long vigil. The moon slips lower, pale and silent. The forest stirs. The first bird calls, a single note, clear and tentative. Then another joins, and another, until the sound becomes a chorus. The night creatures withdraw into their hidden places, and the world begins again. Inside the huts, the villagers start to move. A sigh, a stretch, a soft yawn. Someone stirs the embers and blows gently until the fire returns to life. Smoke rises once more, curling upward through the roof. The day is beginning, just as countless days have begun before. The woman grinds maize. The man steps outside to fetch water. The children blink against the first light. The air smells of dew and ash. The same work awaits. The fields, the weaving, the tending of animals. But for now, everything feels quiet, suspended in the soft space between night and morning. The Maya world, for all its hardship, holds a profound peace in these moments. Life is never easy here. The soil is thin, the sun unforgiving, the labor constant. Yet there is beauty in the repetition, in the gentle certainty of the days. To live here is to move in rhythm with the earth itself. To wake, to work, to rest, to dream, and to rise again. As the sun finally crests the horizon, its light spreads over the village, touching the thatched roofs, the ceba's branches, the fields beyond. The mist lifts slowly, curling away into the warming air. The people begin another day, quiet and steady. The forest watches, eternal and unchanged. And somewhere, beneath the spreading roots of the ceiba, the memory of all who came before. Their labor, their laughter, their long, slow days, rests like a heartbeat within the earth. The Maya world breathes. The village stirs. The day begins again.